welcome to another edition of the Time Flies podcast. I am your host, Dario. USA just finished beating Serbia by the score of 105 to 79, and I'm here to break it all down. So I want to get into today's game, and the first thing I want to talk about the starting five that Steve Kerr put out. So in the last video, I said that Steve Kerr, within the next coming showcases, within the next upcoming exhibition games, he's probably going to be changing up the lineup, and he did it again today. So today he started Steph Curry at the one, Drew Holiday at the two, Jason Tatum at the three, LeBron James at the four, and Joel Embiid at the five. So pretty much the only three players that have been consistent in starting have been Steph Curry, LeBron, and Joel Embiid. The two spot, Drew Holiday, sometimes that changes up with Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker. Jason Tatum, the three spot, that kind of changes as well. Steve Kerr probably put this starting five out there based upon matchups. Joel Embiid. Oh my God, man. I said it in the last video. I started off talking about Joel Embiid, saying that I hate to harp on him, but I'm gonna do it again. Joel Embiid does not look good, man. And today's matchup against Serbia, going up against Jokic, who Jokic, everybody says that is Joel Embiid's number one opponent, number one rivalry. Same thing for Jokic. The only rivalry, the only person that is able to play on his level is Embiid. So vice versa. So I was looking at this matchup going into today's game kind of intently. And Joel Embiid, it just still seems like he's trying to get a feel for everything. He's trying to get a feel for the ball. He's trying to get a feel for the offense. He's trying to get a feel for the rules. And I honestly don't know if by the time the Olympics come around, I don't know if he's gonna be ready to go. Anthony Davis. Yeah, you can say it's Serbia. You can say it's not against NBA talent, the starting five, and most of the team, even though Serbia does have three players off the top of my head. Obviously, Jokic, Bogdanovic from the Atlanta Hawks, and Poku. That's his nickname. He played for OKC and then he got traded, and I forgot where he went. But those are three NBA players right there. So you can say that Anthony Davis having a dominant game against these type of players, like I don't know if you could really focus in on that, but you can also look at Anthony Davis and just see the way he's moving. Like we haven't seen Anthony Davis move this way prior to this NBA season that just passed because this was a really good season for Anthony Davis. He played anywhere between 70 to 75 games. But prior to this season that just passed, Anthony Davis would just play with injuries. So it's been a while since we've seen Anthony Davis consistently play and consistently move smoothly and freely the way he did specifically in today's game. Anthony Davis was just all over the paint, blocking shots, rebounds, mid-range, post-ups. And I think Steve Kerr moving forward when the Olympics start, I think Anthony Davis might have to move into that starting five. But this exhibition is kind of interesting because if you take a look at USA's group, Serbia is in the group, South Sudan is in the group, and Puerto Rico is in the group. So USA plays Serbia today, and the game that they open up the Olympics is against Serbia. So I found that interesting how like is USA actually showing everything that they have, or is Serbia as well? Are they showing everything that they have? I think Bogdanovic is out with an injury. I saw him on the bench, and I'm pretty sure that he didn't play, but I didn't hear exactly why he didn't play. I didn't hear if they mentioned an injury or if it was a coach's decision. But it's just interesting how Serbia is in the same group as the United States, and then they played an exhibition game. So we'll see in the first Olympic Games to see if everybody plays and to see if Serbia is running any different plays. Same thing for United States. The next exhibition game for United States is South Sudan, and the second game in the Olympics, I believe, is South Sudan. Maybe just some mind games are going to start happening. But as far as the game itself, man, let me tell you, before the game became a blowout, the game became a blowout pretty much in the third quarter. But before it became a blowout, I was hella impressed with Serbia. Serbia was physical. They were all up in USA's jersey. And prior to this game, they actually played an exhibition game against Australia and they lost. And I feel like Serbia, there in that exhibition game, they were definitely the favorites and they lost to Australia. So it kind of made some noise. And then going into this game, I think they wanted to prove something to the United States and also just to themselves that they should have played better against Australia. And in the first half, man, Serbia came out to play. The ball was moving, body movement. I mean, the main guy, Jokic, was primarily the main reason moving the ball around. And even though the game became a blowout in the third quarter, I was hella impressed at how Serbia was able to stay in it, how Serbia was able to compete. And for a little bit there, the United States looked like they were a little shocked. They were a little like, what's happening right now? But where I think the United States, and this, you can say this for all of the Olympic teams going back to 1992, I think where the United States has a really, really big advantage, which is going to come to no surprise when I say this here, is just the depth that they have. Like I keep saying, Serbia in the first half, they were hella impressive. They were able to stay close to the United States. But then when the third quarter came around, that's when the blowout happened. And you can say that a part of the reason was because of United States depth. I want to give a shout out to Devin Booker because Devin Booker came out and he might have not had a big game offensively, but there were certain possessions in the game where I saw him just really intently playing defense. I saw him really being attached to his guy, really making sure that he's not going to get by him. And those are the little things that I'm looking for in this tournament, in this Olympics. I'm looking to see which player kind of steps out of his comfort zone, steps out of what he's known for. If he's strictly an offensive player with all these offensive players, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, and if to see if they're going to put a little bit more attention on a defensive side. I'm also looking for the opposite. I'm looking for players that are known for more defense, and I'm looking to see if they have a little bit more offensive to their game, like Drew Holiday, like a Derek White. But that's something that definitely popped out to me. I saw United States depth kind of really hurt Serbia, especially in that third quarter, where the United States just kept throwing out bodies and bodies and bodies, and they were able to affect the game in some sort of way. Bam Adebayo was another one who had a good game. He might not have had a big offensive game, but there were moments where he came up big, where it was a rebound, where it was a mid-range shot, where it was a baseline pass. So the United States, as far as this win, I definitely think it was needed. They definitely needed in one of these exhibition games, they definitely needed a game where they could show everybody that like, no, they're still the USA, they're still the Monstars, they're still the Avengers, and they're gonna kill everybody by 30 points. The first game against Canada, it was pretty close. I think it was in the 70s. The second game against Australia, we were blowing them out, but then they ended up cutting the lead. And in today's game, pretty much in the third quarter, for the rest of the game, it was a blowout. So the first half was competitive, but the second half really wasn't. So the United States, I feel like, really needed this for confidence moving forward. But now some other things that I saw from the game, Anthony Edwards, again, kind of showing his age. Well, actually, I'm not sure if it's his age or if this is just the way basketball is played nowadays. It was, I believe, towards the end of the first half. No, it was the end of the first quarter where I think he got a steal and it was a 3-on-1. It was Anthony Edwards. It might have been Bam Adebayo and the third person. I don't know who, but it was a 3-on-1 and Anthony Edwards pulled up for a three at the end of the first quarter. So, like I said, I don't know if this is just Anthony Edwards showing his age or if this is actually basketball being played nowadays, but I'm 34, so I'm definitely from the old school mentality where if you have a 3-on-1, you're going to the rack. You're going to the bucket and getting an easy bucket. But another guy on this team, Steph Curry, who revolutionized the way people play basketball, you're pulling up for the three when it's a 3-on-1, which is kind of crazy to me. So it's just little things like that that I see. Like I guess sometimes I wish I wish basketball was played the old way. But I also have to take into account that the way people play basketball is just different nowadays. The turnovers, unlike the game against Australia, it was a little less. Midway through the second quarter, they had 6 turnovers. I'm not sure exactly how much they ended the game with. Australia, I believe they ended the game with 18 turnovers. Canada, they ended the game with 15 turnovers. So it was definitely less than both of those games. But in the second quarter, there was definitely like maybe 2 or 3 possessions in a row where it was just silly turnovers. It was Steph Curry and LeBron James going up for a rebound and them both touching it and then deflecting it out of bounds. That might have just been bad communication. Joel Embiid got the ball when the ball was rotated from the baseline to the wing to the top of the key where Joel Embiid was. Joel Embiid got the ball and then he automatically tried to find LeBron on the opposite wing, but LeBron was like right behind him in the top of the key. So it's just little things like that where they're just still getting a feel for each other. Those were just small little examples that I saw throughout the game that I want them to fix, which will happen with more time, with more experience, with more chemistry being built. Joel Embiid, like, I don't know what Steve Kerr is going to do. I think Steve Kerr is going to keep him in the starting five because I think this is just more of a Joel Embiid trying to feel his way through. If Anthony Davis keeps playing the way he's playing, he might have to really take a look at Anthony Davis starting at that five spot. And if Anthony Davis starts at that five spot and Joel Embiid comes off the bench, like that's that's insane. But we have to take into account how Joel Embiid is not healthy. He's still coming back from his knee injury and he's still getting he doesn't look entirely in shape. So and I don't want to knock him for that. Like I said in the previous video, he's still working his way back from that knee injury. So he probably didn't have enough time to just train and work on his game. He was working on getting back from that knee injury. So the NBA media, they might be talking about Joel Embiid a lot, but that's one thing that I think they're not going to focus on. And I just want to bring it up here because I don't want to give this guy so much slack. But when the Olympics start, maybe through the first 2, maybe 3 games of group stage, and if Joel Embiid looks the way he does right now, if I'm Steve Kerr, I'm changing it up. But that's it for today's episode, guys. I want to say thank you so much for checking it out. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to this podcast. If it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to it on any podcast streaming platform, rate, review, and subscribe. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That'll be a really, really big help. But until next time, I'll check you out on the next episode of the Time Flies podcast.